Let me turn to the other big story that's taking place here today. The Supreme Court will pass its order on the BCCI on Friday. The BCCI was cornered in the Apex Court after it was asked to give an undertaking that they will implement reforms. The Apex Court making it clear today that the board could well be taken over now by the Lodha committee.
Will the BCCI's top brass get wiped away? Will a new panel take over the Board of Cricket Control in India? What is the future of the Indian Cricket Board? These questions will be answered on the 7th of October, but the indications are clear. The way cricket is administered is all set to change. Because what happened in court brought little relief to the BCCI. Although the BCCI did maintain its stance, but it was repeatedly slammed in the Apex Court.
बीसीसीआई ने कहा हम तो मानने को तैयार हैं, लेकिन हमारे जो राज्य के एसोसिएशन है वो इस बात को नहीं मान रहे हैं। इस मामले पर माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उनकी खिंचाई की और कहा कि फिर आप इनको इतने करोड़ों रुपए दे क्यों रहे हो?
The amicus curiae supported the sacking of BCCI's top brass. It said that the administrators of impeccable integrity must be placed to initiate reform in the BCCI. He also advocated for an interim board to be set up to implement Lodha panel recommendations. Chief Justice Thakur then took over and sought clarification, and then made a remark that shook the BCCI. He made it clear that the BCCI must implement the Lodha panel recommendations. He said that the BCCI must give the court an undertaking of their acceptance, failing which the Supreme Court would not hesitate to pass the order. The Supreme Court also told the state associations to return the funds given to them by the BCCI.
Do not give an undertaking tomorrow. Then it's really a court order which is going to be implemented on BCCI. But the top brass of the BCCI or the people who are not obeying the order will just be removed from the BCCI top brass and either an ad hoc body is appointed or a new body or a new person is appointed by the state associations themselves.
The writing is on the wall. In the next few hours, cricket and the way it's administered in India is all set to change. With Rahul Rawat and Anusha Soni in Delhi, Sports Bureau, India Today.
So I want to know, has the time come for the BCCI to be taken over by the Supreme Court? Chetan Chauhan, BCCI official, Delhi Vice President, is joining me. Delhi Cricket Association Vice President. Boria Majumdar, our sports consulting editor, joining me at the moment. Chetan Chauhan, should the board be taken over by the Supreme Court? The fact is, there was a Lodha committee report, recommendations were put in place, there was a deadline, you have defied those recommendations. Why should you not be taken over by the Supreme Court?
Well, everything depends on the BCCI as to what they are going to say and what kind of undertaking they give in the court tomorrow. And
but you've defied it, and instead you've gone ahead and disbursed 560 crores worth of rupees to state associations in defiance of the of what was said by the Lodha committee. The Lodha committee had given you all recommendations for selectors, for the manner in which there will be a cooling off period. You have defied every rule. You have created a situation, sir, where tomorrow the Supreme Court could take over the BCCI.
As a child, I was told,
yes, sir,
by my father and all the elderly people, never go into confrontation with the courts. This is what I have been told. I really don't know what is happening with the BCCI. Who are the people who are their advisors and why things have gone to this stage? I fear.
So you are accepting today that the BCCI should not have let matters reach this stage?
I think right from the beginning, when Lodha committee was formed, the BCCI should have sat with them, discussed matters, because in the BCCI also there are people who want transparency, there are people who have done a very good job and who have brought the BCCI to this stage where you have money, you're running cricket so well, you're holding under 16, under 19, under 20, there's pensioners to pension to the ex-cricketers. All these good things have been done by the BCCI. But here I fail to understand why we are in this defying mode and why we have gone into confrontation with the Apex Court, with the highest court, that is the Supreme Court, because after this there is no appeal.
Interesting. Chetan Chauhan, Boria, is distancing himself from the manner in which the BCCI seems to have confronted the Lodha committee and the Supreme Court. Having said that, there will be those who will say that while the courts also may be guilty of judicial overreach, that Mr. Lodha also in a sense has gone a shade too far in saying that any official can have only a term for 3 years. Is the BCCI not justified in a sense of making its stand of questioning the Lodha committee? Should the courts and Mr. Lodha decide how a cricket administration should be run in this country?
Najdeep, good question. In fact, I'm glad you asked that question. The BCCI keeps giving cricketing analogies. Let me give you a cricketing answer. You know, when the BCCI, when a batsman bats, oftentimes the umpire makes a mistake. What does the batsman do? Does the batsman stand on his in the crease and sort of invoke the ICC's ire, or should the batsman walk back to the pavilion despite the decision being debatable? And everyone knows the BCCI does not like the DRS, isn't it? So in this case, the Supreme Court is the umpire. The BCCI is the batsman. You've been given out, wrongly, rightly. As a responsible citizen of this country, just do what needs to be done. Obey the order of the Supreme Court.
But is a halfway,
you had your legal remedy,
is a halfway house approach
review,
not possible?
your review petition, your curative petition. One minute.
Is there a halfway house not possible with a third umpire being
Yes,
involved?
the legal approach was possible. No, not now. Not now. 18th of July, the judgment was passed. In August, the review petition was filed. For 1.5 months, it was lying in the registry with the BCCI, not getting it listed. And then on the 30th, the last nail in the coffin was 560 crores disbursed over the weekend because they knew that they would have to give up, despite there being a clear note that you cannot disburse such funds. Now, 560 was only the tip of the iceberg. Another 1,000 was in the offing. After this, I don't see a third party or a third umpire intervention possible. I see either you comply or you give way, and they will not comply, because for these officials, it is about individuals and not the institution, because all of these individuals will have to go. So they will not comply, and we will have to see the Supreme Court's hand forced, which will result in the takeover of the BCCI.
Therefore, in conclusion, is it now that the Supreme Court's hand is virtually being forced? Yes, there are claims that the BCCI could legitimately make that some of Mr. Lodha's recommendations are drastic, but at the end of the day, there are serious issues also that the BCCI has to deal with, of accountability, of transparency. So therefore, tomorrow in court, should the BCCI go and say, we are sorry? In your view, should they apologize and tell the court, we are ready to reach out to Mr. Lodha and work out a solution?
See, what you said just now, I agree 100. There are definitely Lodha committee has overreached. You know, things like one state, one vote, you know, that's
now
so
you are
much.
blaming the Lodha committee.
Yes.
Should tomorrow, I have only 30 seconds, should tomorrow the BCCI go to Justice Lodha and say, or to the judges of the Supreme Court, sirs, we are sorry, your lordships, we are sorry, we are ready to work out with Justice Lodha a halfway house approach. Have a dialogue.
Yes.
They should do that.
I think the BCCI should go to the Supreme Court and say, okay, we are prepared for a compromise. We will accept some things from you, and please also, we have also problems. We would also like to suggest something, and few things you also accept of ours, and you know, together, instead of complete confrontation, the Supreme Court taking over the BCCI, or you know, and this going on for a while, I think it will not be in the interest of cricket.
Okay. Here is a former test cricketer, board official, who is saying the time for a compromise, for a halfway house approach has come. Maybe, as Boria is saying, it's too late. The BCCI had its opportunity to find that compromise, to reach out for a dialogue, but by defying the Supreme Court, they may well have scored a self-goal. Tomorrow could be D-Day, where the Supreme Court of this country could actually be taking over India's biggest and richest cricket body. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Up next.